Today, Trump's first public speech since Biden was inaugurated. And we've got a lot to get into with CPAC just recently happening this weekend. It's Monday. Buckle up. It's going to be a long ride, and it starts right now. Happy Monday. I am Sarah Gonzalez. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Today joined by, just two everymen.
Handsome everymen.
That's it. That's all that's here. We've got Chad Prather, of course, future governor of Texas and America's favorite cowboy. And also Caleb Bonham, who is, he's not a political commentator, I guess. But really, honestly, we just saw him down the road. He was walking. We were like, hey, you want to be on the show? He said, sure.
Yeah. That's how it rolls.
We are the voice of the everyman.
Yes.
Flannel and denim.
Well, we will find out. It's a good day for you guys to be on. So CPAC obviously took place this weekend. There's a lot to get into here. Let's talk about the high points. Of course, former President Trump, this still feels weird to say, former President Trump spoke at CPAC. It was his first public speech since all of the, the insurrection and Joe Biden getting inaugurated and all of that. And former President Trump spoke at CPAC. Let's watch a little bit of President Trump's speech. There was a lot of talk about Trump forming a new political party. Here, at least, he said that that's not going to happen. Watch.
And I want you to know that I'm going to continue to fight right by your side. We will do what we've done right from the beginning, which is to win. We're not starting new parties. They kept saying, he's going to start a brand new party. We have the Republican Party. It's going to unite and be stronger than ever before. I am not starting a new party. That was fake news. Fake news, no. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Let's start a new party and let's divide our vote so that you can never win. No, we're not interested in that.
Now, President Trump also went on to kind of trash Joe Biden, rightfully so, I think probably these two gentlemen would say at the table. But I want to get your thoughts on this afterwards. Here is President Trump talking about Joe Biden. Watch.
His campaign was all lies, talked about energy. I said, this guy actually, he's okay with energy. He wasn't okay with energy. He wants to put you all out of business. He's not okay with energy. He wants windmills, the windmills.
The bird graveyard.
The windmills that don't work when you need them. Joe Biden has had the most disastrous first month of any president in modern history. That's true. Already the Biden administration has proven that they are anti-jobs, anti-family, anti-borders, anti-energy, anti-women, and anti-science. In just one short month, we have gone from America first to America last.
Now, there were 68% of CPAC attendees who said Trump should run for president in 2024. And the CPAC straw poll found that Trump was the overwhelming favorite candidate at 55%. Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis came in at 21%, followed by Kristi Noem of South Dakota at 4% and Nikki Haley at 3%. I just can't help but think that everyone keeps saying, he's going to run if Trump runs. I don't think he's going to run. I think he likes for people to think he's going to run. But at the end of the day, I don't know why he would want to put up with what he put up with for another 4 years. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I tend to agree with you on that. I think that Trump is going to realize that he can say a lot more and have a little bit more clout and power away from the confines of the Oval Office, and I think it's going to suit him really well. You go to an event like CPAC, and you're kind of in the vacuum chamber there, and everything you say gets the cheers. And the takeaway that I have there is it's one thing to get up and talk about how bad Joe Biden is and all the things that have gone wrong, and I may run, all this speculation and stuff. There's a lot of powerful Republican voices that are out there. We heard them from Ron DeSantis, Kristi Noem, Jim Jordan, Tom Cotton. There were a lot of powerful speeches at Ted Cruz. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who runs. If we don't start delivering real policy and real results, we're going to continue getting hammered by a party that's willing to believe in lie after lie and go after stuff that is completely anti-America. So whoever runs, I hope we get it together, because right now we don't have it.
Yeah, Caleb.
Yeah, I think that, you take a look at what Trump just said. He comes out immediately. Biden's been in office for 30 days. And they're already calling him the worst president of all time. He's already listing all of the antis, anti-woman, he's anti-jobs, he's anti-economy. And I think it's a little early for that. I mean, what Republicans really need to do is focus on the big issues that the left is going to start pushing, because they're going to push radical changes in this country. And if we really water down what those radical changes are by saying that he's the most radical, worst president we've ever had 30 days in, it's not going to land with Republicans. Unidentified voters, people, independents. You got to be a little more, we got to tailor this back to the voices of the people that are focused on their jobs, that are getting this economy going again. And I think that was a CPAC speech. He's showing up to a bunch of conservatives, a lot less than have traditionally been there because of social distancing. And you saw they're all, it was all spread out a little bit. But you got to really not make this a campaign speech and make it more getting back to messaging to the people that'll resonate in their daily lives.
Mentioned Kristi Noem earlier, of course, in the straw poll. She also spoke at CPAC, got a lot of applause. I love her. I have such a girl crush on her. I have to say it. But here is Kristi Noem talking about her little spat with Anthony Fauci. Watch.
We never focused on the case numbers. Instead, we kept our eye on hospital capacity. Now, Dr. Fauci, he told me that on my worst day, I'd have 10,000 patients in the hospital. On our worst day, we had a little over 600. Now, I don't know if you agree with me, but Dr. Fauci is wrong a lot.
I just have to say it, for all the talk that the media did about Michelle Obama's arms. I haven't heard them say anything about Kristi Noem's. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it, all right? And they're sculpted. But Kristi Noem attacking Anthony Fauci, is that a wrong move? Because I'm in. You're talking about Fauci and his horrible predictions and his flip-flopping. I am listening to what you have to say.
Well, I said on the show last week, Fauci's a con man. We know that. So I'm all for calling the guy out. The guy flip-flops. And you never know what he's going to come up with next. I don't know how many masks we're at now that we're supposed to be wearing. His predictions have never been right. And to come in and tell the governor of South Dakota what her worst day is going to look like, I would point out the numbers as well and say, look, you've been wrong on all these different things. You were wrong when it comes to my state, so stay out of it. Yeah. And we want Fauci at the end of the day to stay out of all of our business.
Yeah. What's your take on it?
I mean, Fauci is the equivalent to all of the sports commentators that said 10 years ago, Tom Brady's done.
Right.
I mean, he has been wrong time and time and time again. And it's astounding that people still listen to him. I mean, the libs will, do little cardboard cutouts of his face and put them in their windows as if he's some sort of liberal icon. And this guy has been wrong time and time again. And I think he's just out there saying whatever he can to save face, because he knows his audience is, his crowd is never going to hold him accountable to what he said and the lack of leadership that he's shown through all of this. But you guys should have been canned a long time ago.
Yeah. As I think any regular old employee would be if they had been wrong over and over and over again.
If you go back over a year, I think at the very beginning we wanted to like Fauci. I think at the very beginning the guy stepped up. He was pushed, to the forefront, and people wanted to hear what this guy had to say because he seemed like he was offering some solutions. Well, then it changed, and it was constantly back and forth. He's circling back.
Yeah,
never gets there.
No, he doesn't. Another person who never gets there, Jim Acosta. CNN reporter Jim Acosta was, of course, at CPAC to cover the event. I think he just wanted the attention. But apparently Jim Acosta was confronted at the conference over his network's coverage of the scandals of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Here's a little bit of that.
He killed 10,000 people and he's accused of sexual assault. And you guys want to talk about Ted Cruz? When are you going to start covering Cuomo?
We can do it this way, maybe. Just because he's rude, I'll be rude. Sir, let me just finish this interview and then I'll talk to you, okay? If you don't mind. What do you mean, no?
I mean, no.
Well, then, excuse me, I have an interview.
Yeah? What, are you going to box me out? You're not tall enough. When are you going to start covering it, Jim? When's CNN going to deal with Cuomo?
Covering it.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not.
Well,
You're not.
Okay, we agree to disagree.
No, we don't agree to disagree. You're not covering Cuomo.
I'm sorry, but
What do you think about what do you think about it? What do you have to say about Cuomo?
I'm here to do a job right now.
Oh.
To talk to you.
You have plenty to say about Trump. Nothing to say about Cuomo?
I'm here to do a job.
What do you have to say about Cuomo? Nothing?
Job reporting.
Nothing, right? You have nothing to say about Andrew Cuomo. The Emperor of New York, and you have nothing to say.
Now, I'm not one to defend Jim Acosta, as I would hope that both of you would know. However, he is a White House reporter, is he not?
Yeah.
So I don't know how much control he has over what the other people on his network cover. I don't know that it should come directly from Jim Acosta, but I'm not saying it doesn't feel a little bit good to watch him being confronted over all of his hypocritical.
The same thing that he gives others.
Right. And so that's why it's like, okay, I mean, trust me, I'm okay with seeing Jim Acosta get karma.
How many times have we seen Jim Acosta sitting in the White House briefing, either going after Sarah Sanders or Kayleigh McEnany or the president himself, just belligerently asking questions in that same way? I mean, that's all annoying. Even the guy who did the interview, or attempted, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, but hit him for the Biden stuff.
It's annoying, right? Yeah. So he's a White House. He's not in charge of CNN's programming. I get that. And just the whole thing's obnoxious. Just like the confronting people in the airports gets obnoxious
Yeah, I
and
don't
stuff
love
like
that.
But the whole thing is, this just shows you the ish show we're in the middle of that is never going to end. This kind of stuff, get used to it because we're going to see it over and over and over again. But Jim Acosta at the end of the day loves it.
Yeah.
That's what politics has become. I mean, they've done that to us for years.
Yeah.
The difference between that guy, and it is annoying. It goes nowhere. It does nothing. It serves no point. Nobody's mind was changed through that.
Right.
But they've done that to us for years. The biggest difference between that guy confronting Acosta and what the left has done from us to us is that guy probably wasn't wearing a big vagina beanie and going after, attacking them in elevators, which is what the left does time and time again. They see that disruption gives them attention to their cause, and so they try to go out and do that. The Federalist, which is where that guy is from, is a reputable publication. I mean, they do great work.
Yes.
And, I think this is just indicative of where it's coming, and the left put us there. Their treatment over the past 4 years of the leadership in this country, they haven't wanted to report on what's really going on. They've wanted to push an agenda. Mm-hmm. And, at some point, while I don't necessarily condone that because I don't think it does any good, finally pushing back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, because you have to watch how the GOP, the party, the establishment, right, has handled the left's just constantly getting down in the mud, fighting, calling for actual violence, as much as they like to say that Donald Trump incited an insurrection. They've been doing it for years now. And so, you have to, at some point say, okay, the GOP constantly saying we're morally superior, we're going to take the high road, and not getting the results. At some point, they've got to say, okay, you know what? Maybe we do just fight fire with fire.
Yeah, and do so in a useful way.
Yeah.
We got to get a little more power in the media because they have a bully pulpit. They are very easy targets for us, but they can just stomp on us and shut it up. So at some point, using digital media to spread those messages is important.
Yeah. Okay, so one more thing on CPAC here. This is, speaking of the left and their messaging and needing to fight fire with fire. So the big rumor that was circling the rumor mills this weekend, I'm not kidding, you're going to think we're making this up. We're not. The left started a rumor that the CPAC attendees were Nazis because the stage, if you will notice, is the same symbol as a rune, which is a symbol of the Nazis. If you guys can show this Alyssa Milano Instagram. So it's got the diamond and then the little, I don't know what you would call those, the little tails. Yeah, over there. Those of you who are watching, if you're listening on audio, this is a great reason to watch on YouTube, on Facebook, on BlazeTV. Become a subscriber. And so Alyssa Milano said they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Hyatt Hotels, what is happening in your building?
You know why you have to, in a troublesome way, try to describe that symbol.
Yeah,
is because no one
No.
thinks of that. If you say a Nazi symbol, they're thinking swastika.
Yeah, no, I'm like, it's like a diamond with like little thingies I mean, and it doesn't even really look like that.
No one thinks of that symbol.
Look at the other side of the guy's jacket, lapel. Anytime you roll a 3 on the dice, that must be
that's
Nazi propaganda.
Anytime there's a diamond at all, really.
Anytime. So forward with an exclamation mark was a Nazi call to action, okay? That was also Barack Obama's campaign slogan. So at what point in time was that? So who I call into suspicion here is Alyssa Milano for knowing to identify that symbol. And I'll remind everybody that on Friday night, when they kicked off CPAC, they had a Shabbat dinner. There's not a lot of Nazis having Shabbat dinners for the Sabbath.
Well, they were getting them all there so that they could capture them.
That's what it was. So they could put them in some of those containment facilities down at the border.
Yeah, that must be it. Well, Hyatt, I was proud of Hyatt. They released a statement and they were like, yeah, we're inclusive of everyone's views, and they were basically like, we're not sorry about this.
Yeah. I mean, the dismissive way that they approach even world history in stupid moronic tweets like Alyssa Milano tweeted out, I don't even know. It's embarrassing. I mean, if you're going to compare Nazism and what they stand for in any particular political party, it goes much deeper than the design of a stage. It goes much deeper than just saying, oh, well, the National Socialist Workers' Party was the origins of the Nazi movement. They're socialists, they must be Nazis. That's not accurate either. I mean, this whole back and forth on who's the worst is ridiculous, comparing it to Nazis, Republican and Democrat. Neither are Nazis. This is absurd. This does such a injustice to talking about the rise of the worst political movement in world history. And it's really embarrassing that these are the tweets that they're sending out. It's more embarrassing if you look at how many of the verified Twitter accounts were talking about this. I mean, this is your conversation? Stupid.
Yeah, really, really embarrassing. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor of this segment, Patriot Mobile. In case you have not heard, it's a Monday. Patriot Mobile has just expanded their coverage dramatically. It's going to make it a lot easier for you if you have not yet dumped your big name carrier. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to do so. By the way, if you are not using Patriot Mobile, you are probably using a big name carrier that you may not know it, but they're taking a portion of your money that you are paying every month and donating it to left-leaning causes that you are fighting against. Patriot Mobile will not do that. They are not going to silence you. They are, by the way, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Switching is very easy in 2021. They use the same network as the larger providers, but they're going to charge you much less, by the way. You can keep your phone number. You can get a new one if you'd like. You can bring your own phone if you like your phone a lot, or you can buy a new one from them, whatever you prefer. Build your own bundle with multi-line discounts, and you're going to save even more on top of their already very, very reasonable prices. You got to go to patriotmobile.com/news. Patriotmobile.com/news. Veterans and first responders, if you are one of those, you're going to save even more, get even more discounts. This month, you are going to get free Premier activation, where they set up the phone for you. They're going to send you a special gift only if you use offer code NEWS. So don't forget that offer code to get the special gift and Premier activation at patriotmobile.com/news. Back in a minute. Andrew Cuomo, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, finally addressed the sexual harassment allegations against him by 2 women. He, of course, denied the accusations and defended himself by saying, some of the things I have said have been misinterpreted as an unwanted flirtation. I never intended to offend anyone or cause any harm. At work, sometimes I think I'm being playful and I make jokes that I think are funny. I do on occasion tease people in what I think is a good-natured way. I have teased people about their personal lives, their relationships, about getting married or not getting married. So basically everything. I mean no offense and only attempt to add some levity and banter to what is a very serious business. And he is now under fire for his comments to, talking about playful banter. How's this for playful banter? His comments to a reporter, it was a sausage festival or something. And I'm just going to let you watch it.
Thank you. I want to see you eat the whole sausage. I don't know if I should eat the whole sausage in front of you, but I'm definitely going to eat it.
You gotta do it now.
No excuses. You know everyone, you know the county executive?
I do. Now you're going to know me in a whole different level. What are you doing?
My daughter Michaela.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Ew. Ew. I believe that this reporter has already come out and said, it's fine. I didn't take any offense by it. You know, it was not, I didn't find it to be some sort of sexual harassment. I don't know. Does he have he just likes to watch women eat? I don't know how else that could be interpreted, eat the whole sausage.
I'm the wrong dude to be asking.
I know. I'm looking at you, and I'm like, I'm really concerned about what's going to come out of your mouth.
Well, that's because for me, look, there's a difference between making jokes or playful banter or saying inappropriate things and sexual harassment. That's where we've lost the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've missed the border there, the edge of what you step over. You don't know somebody's intent when they're making a joke, and you don't know how some entendre was taken or some euphemism. Like I said, I'm the worst person in the world to ask because I make jokes for a living and I say all kind of inappropriate
Well, but he
things.
doesn't. He's a governor.
He's the governor, and I'll be the governor one day, and then I'll have to answer for all these questions that all these things that I've said in my past. Now, if he'd have smacked her on the butt, right, or if he'd have grabbed her inappropriately, or accosted her verbally, or said something that was a reference to something suggestive beyond, like very direct, he's done those things. That's what we're looking at. To take something like this, which is inappropriate, jokes tend to be. I think there's just a fine line there. There is. You're at a point now in modern history, especially in America, where you just need to shut up. Don't say anything, because no matter what, it's going to be used against you. It'll be held against you.
So what I'm getting,
which was a sexual reference right there. See what I did?
What I'm getting is
that could be sexual harassment.
Chad Prather is now a Cuomo apologist.
I'm not. I wish you would have opened the jacket up so I could have seen the nipple piercings right there, and so I could get disgusted all over again with this guy. No, he's a creep. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. He's a creep.
I know.
But it's a. I said last week on the show, I was like, there's going to have to be more people that are going to come forward. Otherwise, it's just going to get swept under the rug.
Well, and
I'm happy to see that it's happening.
Yes, and I get what you're saying is, okay, we've got actual accusations of sexual assault, right? If there was an unwanted kiss,
kissing on the mouth,
right? Some other things.
Have you ever
let's focus on that instead of
Yeah.
asking a woman to eat the whole
at a sausage festival.
Yeah, that is what politicians don't understand is that if they're just honest, they'll receive so much more support from their people.
Yeah.
If he just came out and said, I'm a politician. Look, I've worked in the Capitol. I've seen these, how these representatives behave behind the scenes. Yeah. This stuff is normal in terms of the jokes. Yeah. And I don't know if that was a sexual innuendo or not, but if they just come out and say, I told her to eat the whole sausage, because if he just comes out, like, people talk about this stuff normally, people will just dismiss it. Yeah. If you were to adhere to what the left wants us to do, if anything, his concept that this is just a misunderstanding, well, he's blaming everybody else. That's victim blaming. Yeah. That's victim shaming. Just own up to it. If you're making inappropriate jokes, half these guys drink behind the scenes. Half these guys are joking behind the scenes. Right. Yeah. And, you're going to relate a lot more to the average people if you just came out and said, this is ridiculous, this is a non-story, move on. But yeah, it's in conjunction with more serious allegations of actual assault, and that's where it becomes a pattern, and it's showing to become a pattern with Cuomo.
Yeah. And Cuomo had said, we're getting just like the COVID scandal, we're getting our people to look into it. So my people will look into me. Okay.
Well, the thing is, they will always admit to the lowest offense. Yeah. And it slowly builds its way up. He started to admit to hiding data or when it started to become uncovered because he had hidden that for so long. Yeah. Nobody was investigating it. As soon as it starts to come out, he releases a statement. Oh, this is what was really going on. He's admitting to the lowest thing he can get caught for.
Right.
There's more there. It's going to come out.
Yes.
Same thing with the allegations. Yeah. This stuff is a pattern, and it happens with every person that is of a man of his stature that comes out and is accused of these things. They admit to something. Oh, it was a misunderstanding. Oh, I didn't do that to the first allegation. Second allegation, it's a misunderstanding. Well, there's going to be more that comes forward.
There will.
Yeah. Well, and let me just add, let me throw this into the conversation. The Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, who, by the way, I believe has like she has aspirations of taking Andrew Cuomo's job. So no conflict of interest there, I'm sure. She has pushed for an outside investigation of this, and he pushed back a little bit. He has finally said there will be an outside independent investigation.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I can't stand the guy. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a creep. I think the whole family's creepy. But it doesn't matter what I think. At the end of the day, what comes out, what is the evidence, what's real? This is the same guy that tweeted, believe all women in regards to Brett Kavanaugh, that there needed to be an investigation, that Brett Kavanaugh was, across the board guilty. This is the same guy, and it's coming back to bite him in the rear end. Don't ever let me go to a sausage festival, because I promise you inappropriate things are going to be said. Now, I'm not a libertine in that regard, but these guys, they rise above accountability. Nobody says, stop.
Right.
Stop doing that. And every person that we see where these accusations come out, whether it's Matt Lauer, Al Franken, whatever, they've risen above accountability and they think they can get away with everything. I've had the executives here at Blaze go, Chad, ease up on the jokes, okay? Ease up on the jokes. Inside of me, I want to do more jokes, right? But I get it. And sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. You don't even realize how it's coming across. I don't know. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that thing, but I hope he's guilty as hell on all the others.
It is interesting to see, because the Democrats who you would typically think would be there to run cover for him are kind of throwing him under the bus. And Nancy Pelosi, I know AOC has come out and said she was calling for an independent investigation. They're kind of turning on him, which is interesting to hear all of these Democrats call for an independent investigation when Tara Reade, as I recall, did not get that sort of benefit of the doubt when she was like, hey guys, Joe Biden did these things to me a long time ago. And we didn't hear the same type of call for an independent investigation on those matters.
I mean, it's been that way for decades. Clinton gets a pass. And if you take a look at it, if you take a look at how the news is starting to report on what happened in Arkansas a couple decades ago, they're starting to come out and say that man was straight up raped women, and some of the cold-bloodedness of just, hey, put an ice pack on it. Because he's of no use to them anymore. He's 80-something or even older. He has no political sway. He's of no use. And so the same thing with Cuomo. I mean, they saw that this stuff was going badly. Trump's out of office. They need somebody new to attack. And so what are you going to do? Well, it's a guy that messed the whole COVID situation up in New York. You know that this guy's going to go under. He's not going to win the support of New Yorkers moving forward. They're moving more left. They've got better alternatives of who they can vote in. So throw the guy under the bus, try to claim your principle and move on. And that's exactly what they're doing.
It's easy to do.
Yeah. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor of this segment, Omaha Steaks. So let me tell you really quickly, Omaha Steaks, we just, this weekend, my husband was grilling, he grilled Omaha Steaks, he grilled the burgers that they have, and he grilled their kielbasa. And this was, of course, on request of my 8-year-old, who was like, oh my gosh, please, can you please make me the Omaha steak burgers? They're so freaking good. We love the steaks as well. And in case you've ever wondered what makes Omaha Steaks so good, it's the aging process. All right, Omaha Steaks are aged at least 21 days, which is where the magic happens. You can try these steaks in the Butcher's Best Sellers package at omahasteaks.com. So the Best Sellers package, it includes all those things that I talked about and more. We've got the kielbasa sausage. You've got the steak for your steak lovers. By the way, if you are not doing it medium rare, you're missing out. You've got the burgers. You've got pork chops. Okay, so you've also got caramel apple tartlets, and I believe potatoes au gratin. So you're getting a huge spread, all right, and you're getting more than 50% off. You're getting 4 more chicken breasts and 4 more delicious burgers for free on top of that. I'm telling you, you got to stock up. By the way, if you are somewhere where you don't know if you're gonna run out of food, or maybe it's gonna get really cold and you're not gonna be able to go to the grocery store for a while. Not that I would know anything about that recently. You gotta load up now. Go to omahasteaks.com, type Y in the search bar for this offer. So this is very specific. It's not a promo code, okay? You've got to go to omahasteaks.com, type in the search bar Y, and that will get you the special offer for the Butcher's Best Seller Pack. You're going to save over 50%. And like I said, you're going to get those chicken breasts and burgers for free Don't miss out if you are a meat lover, which we are in our house. Chad, shut your mouth. omahasteaks.com, keyword why. It is omahasteaks.com. Back in just a minute. The Biden administration is apparently going to start acting now on reparations, according to a senior advisor to the administration. Reparations for African Americans, they said there's no time to wait for the commission to study the issue because, they had previously talked about it, but they said, Jen Psaki said, that we've got this commission. They're studying the issue. We will, be paying close attention to the results and be prepared to move forward on the issue. Now he has his senior advisor, Cedric Richmond, saying we don't want to wait on a study. We're going to start acting now. We have to start breaking down systemic racism and barriers that have held people of color back, and especially African Americans. We have to do stuff now. And I want to get, gentlemen, your thoughts on that. But before we do that, I do want to... I want to play a little Biden clip for you. This was Biden over the weekend in Houston, because apparently very, very quick to act, Joe Biden. He thought it would be a great idea for him to come visit Texas after all of the power failures and all of the issues that we had with the winter storm. But he waited until, a week and a half, 2 weeks after it had happened.
Notice he's not wearing his winter coat.
Yeah, everyone's just like, hey, it's 70 degrees out now. I don't know what you're doing here, quite frankly. But, it's Joe Biden, so we know he's a little slow here. Speaking of slow and Joe Biden, something's wrong, okay? Something is wrong. This is like Weekend at Bernie's Part 100. Here is Joe Biden in Houston over the weekend.
I think he was getting on a plane. He told me he came in to see me last event. And Representatives Shirley Jackson Lee, Al Green, Sylvia Garcia, Lizzie Pinelli, Pinell, and what am I doing here? I'm going to lose track here. And
it's a great question.
Where is he?
Mayor Turner, Judge Hidalgo, thank you all for welcoming us. And Jill and I wanted to visit Texas today for a couple of reasons.
Listen, we're with you, Joe. We don't know what you're doing there either, but it's nice to know that we're not the only ones asking the question, what are you doing here? A little scary to know that Joe Biden isn't quite sure either. Sure. Who is Shirley Jackson Lee?
Shirley Jackson Lee do a hell of a job, a lot better than Sheila. I don't know.
I'd like to know who Shirley Jackson Lee is.
Those are the best questions I've heard asked. And where am I? What am I doing here since Airplane? Have you ever been to a Vietnam prison? That is embarrassing that that's the president. Yeah. Something's not right.
And couple that with over an hour from Trump yesterday.
Yes, and so much energy.
Concise, succinct, full of energy. Trump's just a few years younger than Joe.
Yeah. Well, and look, people want to hammer Trump for, sometimes he might say a word a little bit wrong. I'll say a word wrong every once in a while, when you're making these long speeches, and people will go, well, Joe Biden, it's just a speech impediment. And it's like, no, he legitimately doesn't know what he's doing. There's a huge difference.
It's legitimate to look at that and say that is not the condition that a world leader should be in. And anybody that is denying that, come on. Yeah. This is not a guy that is making deals, leading the world, leading our country towards, recovering, our economy and kind of making these decisions. That's just.
We've conditioned the world for Joe Biden. So with the coronavirus and everything shut down, we've become a Zoom call world. He can be a Zoom call president. He can do it right there with a teleprompter. So we conditioned ourselves. And so you put him now in front of actual people where he's got to try to remember names of people. And rather than look down at the list and just read them off, and, a little bit of humility. Don't try to recall those things. You don't know your own name. You think you're married to your sister. So don't go with that, Joe.
That's a great point. We've become conditioned to reading off a teleprompter.
Yeah.
And Trump kind of changed that, but Trump's energy was so off the charts that he was really going a place. When he was speaking, he was trying to take you somewhere. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we didn't know where that was. We didn't know where we showed up. And it took forever, and there was a lot, but there was direction. He was going somewhere. And Joe is just slowly moving. He's in a golf cart. It's just not going anywhere.
A golf cart with a dying battery. So on the issue of reparations, senior advisor to the White House saying we are going to start acting now on reparations. your thoughts.
House of Cards, I'm going to sit back and watch it bite them in the ass. That's what's going to happen. It's going to come. They're going to devour themselves on this thing. You start bringing this conversation up, you don't know how this is going to be not only justified, but how it's going to be meted out, how it's going to be issued. You get a little bit of greed involved. So-and-so didn't get the same amount as so-and-so down the street, and just watch what happens. You think people are pissed off over not getting a stupid stimulus check. You wait till this stuff starts getting enacted. Forget the philosophical underpinnings of it that are so false, but just wait until it gets enacted and there's actual money changing hands. You're going to see human nature like we haven't seen in a long time.
Oh, I mean, that's dead on. You know, you talk about dividing people. That is not a solution towards uniting a country, especially after the racial division that we saw in June of last year with, you know, George Floyd's death and all that brought out in this nation. That is not a solution. And it's also, it's a political play. I think a lot of people see through that because reparations has been on the table since the 80s, since 87, I think. And that has been something that has been pushed and pushed and pushed. And as we were a more conservative country, you know, taking a look at that, it's really rational and common sense to say, well, you know, some of the arguments the conservatives have put forward is, it makes sense. You know, this is a different generation. We're not responsible for that, you know, anybody alive right now. And that argument has not seemed to stick. There are obviously public polling that the White House believes this is the play that they want to move, at least opening a study. Now, what we see with government officials oftentimes is they open a commission to study something and they come to no solution and they move on and act as if they did something while nothing was done. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah, we will see. It'll be interesting because, you know, I don't think Joe Biden is, well, I don't think Joe Biden knows what his name is, but I don't think that the Joe Biden who did know what his name was necessarily a radical. I mean, I wouldn't call him a moderate, but, you know, you surround yourself with these radicals and let them, you know, kind of take the reins.
Hey, this is a guy that wanted to wrap a chain around Corn Pop's neck. Now he wants to give reparations. What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? All right, we've got more to come, but we got to take a break. Back in a minute.
Get my good side.
The White House plans to roll out a new policy starting today that is going to charge journalists $170 to take a COVID-19 test every time they enter the grounds. Now, as expected, I'm sure you guys are very shocked to hear that the press corps is not happy about it. They are getting pushback from the media. They're unhappy about being asked to pay the government what could amount to tens of thousands of dollars for the privilege of doing their jobs. It's going to be interesting to see because, I mean, like, the Biden administration, well, before they were the Biden administration, the Biden campaign got cover after cover after cover from the media. Now we're seeing, now that they're already, you know, they're in office, media isn't giving them the same passes that they were when they were running. So let me just put this into perspective. $170 for each virus test is $170 a day, $850 a week, and that all amounts to $40,800 a year. And that's if you just have one White House reporter. So if an outlet has multiple White House reporters, that could add up to some serious change. Chad.
Interesting. I had not heard that.
Well, it's also like, who do you root for in this battle? Because I'm just rooting for injuries at this point. Like, it's the White House against the press
Jim Costa is like leading this whole campaign. Doesn't he strike you as kind of a cheap guy?
Yeah.
Like, he's the type of dude that like leaves his wallet when everybody goes out to dinner at home. Like, I don't have it. Oops, sorry.
George Costanza, take that back. You know, get the dollar bill back out of the tip.
I don't know. $40,000. That seems pretty steep to do your job, but you know, it's just the liberal White House catering to the wealthy elites, the 1%.
I'm at a point now where I want to see Jen Psaki come out and, you know, her mask gets hung on her earrings or whatever, and she gets ready to talk, and it's just crickets. Nobody's out there.
That would be great.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, but do you think that that's what they want? Because you're talking about a group of people who have not been pressed by the mainstream media for anything, for how long, right? And that's why every time Joe Biden gets asked a hard question, it's, come on, man.
Peter Ducey's the only guy in the press pool asking her a tough question. Yeah.
Person. So, I mean, like, I would love to see Jen Psaki walk out to an empty, you know, stage.
It's her and Jimmy Acosta.
But we need someone holding their feet to the fire.
Nobody's holding their feet to the fire. That's the problem.
I think that they've gotten, come on.
Nah.
You don't think?
Well, it's tough to hold your feet to the fire when you're just going to circle back.
You're just going to circle back.
fair.
She's not going to answer any
fair.
questions.
That's fair.
So it's worse than a Merrick Garland confirmation hearing. I mean, there's no answers. There's nothing there.
So you think it's just Peter Doocy that's
He's the only one.
I mean, trust me, I think he's the best one for sure.
He's the only one that pushes her.
That's it.
Yeah. Now, it's going to become more in vogue and entertaining and fun for them to do it. Eventually, they'll catch that. They'll get tired of her condescending attitude and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they'll want some answers. Because somebody at some point in time has got to be woke enough to get some answers. I'm going to be hard-hitting journalist.
And people don't want to tune into actual policy. I mean, how boring is that in the news? You got to have drama. And this is not entertainment. And for the past 4 years, we've been spoon-fed entertainment. Their clicks have gone up. That's where they're drawing their ad revenue from, and their views are up. You got to have some drama, so it'll eventually come around.
It'll have to.
Because their views were up because of Trump, right? Previously, their views were up because everyone wanted to tune in to see what crazy thing Trump had said today, and that was, of course, in air quotes for those of you listening on audio podcast. So now that, their goal has changed, I think their goal used to be Orange Man bad, destroy Orange Man at all costs. Now, I think that they just want to elevate their own brands.
Well, they have to.
Actually have to do some sort of journalism now.
There's only so much that you can ask what kind of socks Joe's wearing today, or are they going to redecorate Air Force One?
We already know who he plays as Mario Kart.
Exactly. So there's only so much of that you can do that we know that he likes to sometimes himself add a log to the fire.
Log to the fireplace.
There in the Oval Office. I mean, and unlike his predecessors, he is an early to bed type of guy.
Yes, we know.
This is a hard-hitting journalism. I mean, I'm telling you what, people have died for this.
They haven't found out how many scoops of ice cream he likes yet. So there is more that can be discovered. They can dig deeper.
You know his favorite thing at Dairy Queen, though, the blizzards, and so there's only so much of that we can handle.
Yeah, well, I mean,
eventually, but see, and let me tell you what that eventually is going to be. It's going to be whenever Joe has been used up and it's time for a transition.
Yes.
And then Joe's got to become the bad guy.
Yeah.
That if I'm writing the script, that's how. Eventually, Joe's got to get to the point where either he is cognitively so distant that he's not functioning anymore, or he screwed the pooch so bad in some kind of foreign policy or some kind of issue that now he's got to be the bad guy, and it makes it easier to transition over to Madam Vice President.
Yeah. All right. We've got to take a break. Back in a minute. I just think their narcissism levels are off the charts that they have to. In case you have not yet done so, you got to go to wherever you get your audio podcasts. There's like 10 million of them now. If it's Apple Podcasts or what is it, Stitcher, iHeart, I don't know, whatever you crazy kids are listening to the podcast on these days, go there, subscribe to The News and Why It Matters, rate and review the podcast. It helps more people able to listen to it so that they too can hear the news and why it matters. Also, make sure to give us 5 stars because we deserve nothing less, right, Chad?
That's it. That's all.
I think it's broken if you try to give us any less. It won't work. It's crazy.
Sure as hell ain't reading it on here.
It's the algorithm. All right, we've got a review from, I don't know, it's just a bunch of letters. ACEHPI. ACEHPI. I could go on all day trying to figure out what that is. All right, you complete me. 5 stars. What a great podcast. It actually makes sense and doesn't make me feel like I'm a bad person for the views I hold dear to my heart. Thank you for all your hard work and keeping me up to date on actual news in America, not being pushed by a Democratic agenda. God bless you all. You are not a bad person.
God bless you, Ace.
Yes, God bless you, Ace. You're not a bad person, even though Brian Stelter would have you believe that you were. But we all know Brian Stelter is just a bald little girl. So
potato
it's
head.
fine. Yes, he is.
Gender-neutral potato head.
Did you see him over the weekend? And he
Yeah.
said, what did he say? Something about a potato head when he was talking about Trump Jr.
Trump Jr.
And I was like, Brian,
There's a cell phone.
Oh, so bad, so bad. Also, don't forget to check out Chad Prather podcast. And thank you, Caleb, for your maiden voyage on the show.
Must do it again with Caleb.
Yes.